Hey everybody, uh, welcome to the latest emergency pod of Nephew Hours. I'm your real host Miggy. Joining me today is from a long hiatus is Dom up in the top left, and then to my top right is gonna be Deuce with the Knicks. All that. He's got a Jets shirt on, a Jets hoodie on. Hold on
I
a
was
second.
like, what Knicks? He's not wearing any Knicks.
Well, I thought he was. I thought it was like those like green like Knicks
like a St.
it was
Patrick's
St.
Day.
Patrick's
yeah,
Day.
St. Patrick's Day vibe.
That would be cool.
I'm out here repping a fallen hero, Jared Allen. Sad life for him, but what you call it? We're calling this emergency pod because we have a lot of things that have happened literally in the past 12 hours, or not even 12 hours, like the past 5-6 hours.
Did you get
Um,
the tweet
what's up?
from Woj or Shams? Like when you got the notification, would you?
Dude, I have notifications on for what Woj and Shams and Mark Stein like 24/7 so I can stay updated. And Mark Stein was literally on it today. Seriously, anyway, but like before for the users who somehow do not know what's has happened in the past 5 or 6 hours, um, the bombshell James Harden trade has finally happened. It's to the team that he wanted in the first place. It's to the Brooklyn Nets, and so a lot of moving pieces with it. So the complete trade as of now is going to be the Brooklyn Nets obviously get James Harden. The Houston Rockets will get Victor Oladipo, Dante Exum, Rodion Kurucs, pretty much all of Brooklyn's first rounders. Essentially, pretty much. So three of them are going to be unprotected. So in 22, 24, and 26. Milwaukee they somehow get Milwaukee's first round in 22, which is unprotected. 4 Brooklyn first round swaps. So this upcoming draft 20 in 23, 25, and 27. So essentially, the Rockets own the Brooklyn, Nets draft for a while. The Pacers will get Karis LeVert in the second rounder, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers will get Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. If you guys noticed, again, I'm wearing this Jared Allen jersey in honor, and so here we are. The trade has not.
We're recording this in the wake of a Brooklyn Nets dominant 7-point victory,
and we are also yes recording in wake of the score won't show it, but the Nets pretty much own the Knicks with only 9 players, and look, the deal isn't the deal isn't technically official yet, but I mean in due time it will be. I had a Bobby Marks tweet, but Bobby Marks did say for for players that are involved in a trade. Again, like I said, we're still dealing with the COVID pandemic, so there are health and safety protocols for players involved in a certain trade. So so it says after passing a physical, a player can join his new team without delay, as long as they're a part of the daily testing program and return 3 consecutive negative tests preceding the trade. So the soonest we can see these players is pretty much right after physical, like any typical trade. For James Harden, that means his Nets debut could possibly come this Saturday versus the Orlando Magic. But yeah, this is a lot of digesting for all of you guys who are gonna hear this on YouTube or on Spotify. We're recording this at 7:27 p.m. Pacific time, 10:27 Eastern. So oh, and I just noticed this. I want to shout out Patrick. Thank you for the sub. Means a lot to it.
for the sub. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. But going back to this. Before I go into my full-on homerism, Dom, Deuce, I want to know your thoughts on the Harden trade as neutral parties per se, about it.
You want me to go first, Deuce?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Sure.
It's interesting to me that the Rockets chose this immediate package out, like, because we knew that the Sixers now to the extent of whether they were actually willing to let go fully of Ben Simmons and a couple of other pieces for Harden, that we can be in contention about all we want. I just find it interesting that they would want, all the draft capital, from the Nets in this trade, because we knew going in that, and this goes for all trades, you are not going to get 100% of the superstar
Mhm.
uh, that you had before. Like, you're never going to get James Harden for James Harden. You're never going to get, one for one. You were always going to get pieces. I just found it interesting that the Rockets went ahead and rolled on, let's see if we can try to get some form of James Harden back from pieces that we're getting in the future, instead of, say, Ben Simmons out right now, who can be, your franchise guy or superstar. Um, I I think it will be interesting to see what the Rockets are like, in the next couple of years. And I like the trajectory of where this team is headed anyways. Low seeded playoff team or play in team. You have Christian Wood, John
Mhm.
Wall, Boogie. Uh,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's just like I still find it weird and intriguing that they took the 7 first rounders, 8 and 8 if you count Milwaukee, and all these other guys that were included in a 4-team deal,
Mhm.
versus an immediate guy who can sort of contribute now or develop as your future guy.
Okay. Oh,
Usman's
okay.
here.
Usman's here. He's coming in. So new host coming also as well. Usman joining us once he cams up. But yeah, Deuce, you can have you can have the floor on this one.
Just welcome Usman. Just to piggyback back off of what DJT said, I pretty much have the same thoughts. It's like I said a couple weeks ago. It's like I've been saying for the past 2 months. There's really no fair trade for a James Harden unless it's just straight up superstar for superstar, which
Mhm.
no team is gonna do. No team that thinks they're contending is gonna do.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm just really, honestly, all I have to say is I think every team involved got something out of it. So as of yet, there's no real loser. The Rockets got plenty of assets. The
Mhm.
Even Indiana got something out of it. I mean, I'm just excited to see them play. I don't really have much to say at this point. To this
Mhm.
point, I'd like to see how James Harden meshes with Kyrie, asterisk, and KD.
It's, like this is what I've been, what you
Kyrie
call
needs
it?
to retire.
No, don't do that.
Yes.
Look, I get
Man, let that man play.
look, I'm mad. Like, I was like, I can't defend though. This is all I say about Kyrie. I can't defend the party video. Um, from what I've been reading, from I don't know. We'll never know until we hear it
You
from
can
Kyrie
defend it.
himself.
I mean, we'll
He
we'll
apparently
call
he
you
said,
out, but you can defend it.
These
You
are
can
the same
"No, I'm
guy
absolutely
who
not gonna.
said the
I
Earth's
can't
flat,
defend that.
bro. Are you really
I
gonna
can't.
be
I
like,
mean, it's his
I can't
sister's
defend
birthday,
that.
so it's
yeah?
not that bad compared to some of the other.
Yeah,
call
like
compared
you
to
out, but you're
compared
free
to
to defend it.
compared
no,
to the
I
other
can't
compared
defend
to
partying during a pandemic. That's all it is. I can't like. I'll be straight up. Like I criticized Harden for going to strip clubs during a
Yeah, but
pandemic.
that's a strip club, bro. This
right
is
I
like,
can't
right.
defend the
That's
part.
I don't
no,
know
I
why you
can't.
would
that's
want to defend someone going to a strip club.
no
That's the thing. It's like, why would you
I
want
just look.
to?
right.
But like, look with
That's
Kyrie, I can't like look again. It's a part during a pandemic, sure. Again, family's very important to him, and it was his sister's birthday, um,
What if this
and
trade is just compensation for the Nets if Kyrie doesn't come back within a reasonable time frame?
I mean, I would
Like
also
this is
wouldn't be
the actual.
surprised if that'd be some like 5D chess move by Sean Marks.
Or like
liter-
if let's say Kyrie is like because of the weird the way that the protocols and the system
Yeah.
works is out for say like the next 3 weeks or something. We don't know. Like I legit
Uh-huh.
don't know when Kyrie's gonna get back on the floor.
Yeah.
I think this move in this way is great for the Nets because you still get say whatever you want about Harden, but he's a top 5 NBA player. He's a walking in and out playoff berth. Him, I think next to if they don't have Kyrie, him next to KD is definitely going to be something that the fans and that Nash will have to play around with. It's something that I think we want to see it. We want to see. Um, I just really want to see this team play. Like I don't even care about the like put Harden on the floor next to KD. I want to see these two guys cook it up.
So okay, so with Kyrie though, like again, um, what you call it? Again, I don't like partying during pandemic. I really can't defend like how stupid it looks, especially like when he says he's on a personal leave. However, yesterday during during the during the Nuggets game, he was doing social justice work, being on a Zoom call for campaigning for I think it was an attorney general or and whatnot. So again, for all we know, like the party was coinciding with his personal leave. We don't know. We'll never know until he comes and speaks the truth. Well, his truth in a sense.
His truth. See, be careful with the way you spin Kyrie's truth because this man has said the world is flat. Okay,
And
like
then he said he was trolling. So
I don't even know if that part's right, dude.
I don't even know if that's real, but we will never know until he comes out. The rumor was that apparently the birthday party was a surprise. Who knows? Um, but again, look, it is what it is. He's getting investigated, and we'll see what happens with the COVID protocols. But let's kind of going back to your point though about wanting to see this team play. Yes, I feel like everyone here and basketball fans around the world, we literally just want to see how this all works out.
I
I've seen
disagree.
I've seen all the shut up. You're just mad.
I changed my mind. I don't want to see them play. I hope they never play.
You're just mad that you have to be deal with it. That your Knicks couldn't have what this is happening right now.
Let's just move on.
I wanna see the post game press conferences. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
I mean, Katie looks pretty. As we're talking about the post game press conferences are happening right now. Katie seems pretty happy about everything.
He should be.
But again,
Kevin Durant.
yeah, that's true, and he gets to play with two of his best friends. So look, like everybody, I'm excited to see how it looks like. When Kyrie comes back, and again, like I said, James Harden could probably start playing this Saturday. I've seen the memes of oh, but there's only one basketball. How are three ball dominant players supposed to like cooperate? Um, Again, limited sample size. Uh, you know, Look, Kyrie and KD have shown that they are willing to give up the ball. Um, so far in their tenure as Brooklyn Nets, uh, James Harden apparently has been recruited by Kyrie and KD in the offseason last month, or the past couple of months. So it seems that the potential is there that they're all willing to sacrifice in order to get a ring in Brooklyn. So look,
Speaking
plus
of W's,
James Harden is also reunited with MDA, who even with all his ISO ball is very very um, a huge proponent of having a pass oriented system. So yeah, I think this could work, and I'm not trying to be like a homer about it.
I think
So let's get down to business.
What's up?
Can they score more points than they'll give up? That is the question.
Yeah, I think. Look,
I figure that's the game plan.
I don't know about you, and again, this is against the Knicks, and the Knicks are in a free fall again, as per usual. But somehow DeAndre Jordan is back.
No, you can't use a Knicks game as any sort of sample size to judge.
Yeah, I said it is a Knicks game, so we could be teased. We could be
do
teased.
not run an offense.
But also on the offhand though, we also Bruce Brown. When given minutes, literally his defense is pretty solid. In every game that he's played, he's shown that his defense is.
So do you
is
think they
what's
just
needed.
stick Bruce Brown on every
No,
opposing
because
team's best
I
player?
think
Bruce Brown is gonna defend LeBron and AD.
shit. Why not? I don't care.
He's gonna defend Brown and Tatum.
I think Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot has defensive potential. Keyword there has. He just needs to control his fouling. What you call it? Landry Shamet again, solid wing, possible defender. The only issue is big man depth and big man defense and interior presence. That was always going to be an issue. So look, I think we have the offense to score 160. Our final scores will probably be 160 to 140. That's what's gonna happen here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Knowing how it's all, Sean Marks and Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni and Jock Vaughn and Udoka, they'll figure out a system to cover up their defensive liabilities.
Yeah, Maurice Stoudemire.
Gang. He'll suit up too. What's up?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say earlier, when I found out this news, I actually had thought of a joke that I was gonna come and write in the NBA chat, in the Discord here.
What's up?
I was gonna come in and say, hey, what if the Rockets trade Kyrie for Harden? That way, the Nets get a guy, the Nets get a guy that's gonna be there consistently, and the Rockets get a guy that they don't have to pay fully. It's like a win-win.
Oh
but when I came in, I just saw like everybody spamming the tweet, and I was like, damn it! If I just been a little earlier,
you would have had a banger. You would have had like millions of
just
retweets
a little bit earlier.
But
gosh,
speaking of the trade, like I know we meme, but I don't know why people were legitimately trying to say Kyrie for Harden, because that was never going to happen. I don't know why people were saying that.
That just came in my mind.
I know a lot of people were memeing, but like a lot of people were memeing, but some people had like, I remember I was on the Nets subreddit and the Nets Discord. People were like legitimately considering it. And I was like, "Are you guys what?"
Yeah, there's
clearly you have not,
gonna happen.
have not been with the Nets for like the longest time. But seriously though, I don't get it. But Chicago, going back to this though, again, another question I do kind of have, but not really, is the Nets bench. In the sense that the starting lineup we're going to assume is going to be some arrangement of Kyrie, James Harden, Kevin Durant for sure, DeAndre Jordan for sure, maybe Joe Harris or Jeff Green, right? Are starting five, and then off your bench, it's going to be an assortment of Bruce Brown for sure, either Jeff Green or Joe Harris, and then you'll have maybe Tyler Johnson or Landry Shamet, and then you'll have Timothy Luau-Cabarrot, and then will it be Reggie Perry, Nick Claxton? Who knows? We need a big man. And then you'll also have Chiozza off the bench. And who else am I forgetting? That's about it, right? Did I cover everybody that's on the current Nets roster?
Sounds right to me.
We also have, and also at this point, we also have 3 open spots. So, and we have 2 exceptions that we can use. So, will we save it for the buyout? Who knows? But the bench, but the bench though, I mean, I think will be okay. If
you definitely gotta save it for the buyout. Yesterday,
definitely.
Yesterday I was watching the Heat and Sixers play with a friend of mine who's a Sixers fan, and both teams had 8 guys available. Most of their main rotations were gone, and that just like got me thinking, if in the playoffs that happens with one team, it's over, it's done.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So you need depth is more important than it's probably ever been. If you want to make a deep run.
And I think Marks can also, again, look forward. Like again, the bench isn't bad, right? Like, is it consistent? No, maybe not, because again, who's going to be like the number one? Who's going to be like the number one scorer off that bench, right? I mean, I can't. Bruce Brown has been great so far, but I don't know if I can completely rely.
I mean, at that point, that's why you stagger the minutes. Like, there's really no reason why the 3 of
definitely
KD, Kyrie, and James Harden should all be on the bench unless it's a 40-point blowout at that point.
Yeah.
Like, there's really no reason. That's how they did it.
Yeah. And we'll expect it. I mean, Steve Nash, again, for being a rookie coach, was already starting to stagger Kyrie and KD. He learned the hard way of just having both of them on the bench at the same time. But again, I think Steve Nash has now walked into a Steve Kerr situation where he has immense talent around him, and all he has to do is just keep everyone happy and make it all work. Which I think right now, um, especially after the Nuggets win last night by the Nets, um, I think he's in a spot where it looks like everyone's bought into their role, and there will, at least they're putting on effort. Um, but to
Well,
your point though, Usman, when it comes to the buyout, I just pulled up a tweet from Brooklyn Nets 85 who made out a list of people who make less than 5.7 million, which this is a key number due to the fact of the disabled player exception for Spencer Dinwiddie, who as of right now is currently out with an ACL tear. He listed Zach Collins, Malik Monk, Rashawn Holmes, Justin Jackson, Mike Scott, JaVale McGee, Reggie Bullock, John Collins, Nico Melly, uh, Mo Harkless, Josh Hart, James Ennis, Ben McLemore, Glenn Robinson III, Gary Trent, and Savi Mikhailu.
so how would you acquire those guys? Like
It would
just
have
as
to
a
be a
salary
trade.
dump?
It would be, well. I mean, Bobby Marks, when he first tweeted that they have the DPE, they said the Nets would clear the roster spot. So at this moment, we have enough roster space to sign straight up anyone with the DPE. If we were going to some of the others that need to be traded, obviously we would probably have to do like, I don't know, some random trade. I don't know, like
I mean, if a
Bob.
team's willing to accept a second round pick, because
Yeah, maybe, yeah, like
uh,
random second rounder, or because we
yeah,
don't have
because
any firsts anymore.
yeah, that's
But
that's the
yeah,
other thing when you guys were talking about winners and losers. We'll find out if the Nets are winners or losers by 2022 or 2023. Because if
yep,
they haven't won a ring by
yeah.
then I think they're clear losers.
I
You know,
would
right?
I wouldn't complain about that take. I would. I
Yeah,
mean, again, the window right now is 2 years.
yeah.
Unless, again, we mentioned earlier in the stream, in the pod, that they also made this trade with the hope that this would also help keep everybody a little bit longer than what their contract is for.
Well,
So
that's the other thing is that
it's like what the Bucks did with Drew, but this time we got freaking James Harden.
the 2022 off season, all three of these guys have player options.
Yes.
And if they all accepted them, the Nets would be on the books for like 130 million for those three guys.
Yeah, and again, like, look,
So it's
I mean,
tough.
it's a huge issue, but I mean, again, Sean Marks has a bunch of capologists on his freaking staff.
Yeah,
This dude went whole Spurs route and planned for every single possible, like he went Doctor Strange on on everybody.
yeah.
Um, I don't. So I know we've been talking a lot about the Nets, and we'll continue talking about them. But I do want to touch upon on the Sixers here. We briefly mentioned them earlier, but with the Sixers, again, all day long, we saw Mark Stein tweeting that the Sixers were the main favorites, that they
Yeah.
were willing to trade Ben Simmons, they were willing to trade Tyrese Maxey. Um, Matisse Thybulle was also on the table, according to Chris Haynes. Um, the Sixers were trying to drum up any more assets they could, but for the majority of the day they were the front runners. And so I'm kind of confused because, again, um, for for the Rockets, again, you would Ben Simmons is a lot better than Oladipo or Karis LeVert or Jared Allen in a vacuum, right? You would think that Houston would take it, but I want to know from you guys what your guys takes on, like, why Philly ultimately loses in the end.
Go ahead, Deuce.
Why Philly loses in the end?
Yeah,
I mean, it's the opportunity cost of you let probably your biggest competition in getting out of the East this year next to the Celtics
hmm
just make a massive upgrade. All the other teams involved in that trade, which would be Indiana and the Cavs, um, also looking better. I mean,
but I just want to know, like, what led Philly somehow from being front runners to ultimately losing this whole entire trade.
I mean, at the end of
Um,
the day, I guess Mark Stein just must not have. I mean, at the end of the day, they just didn't have the good enough offer. I'm sure maybe they weren't willing to put Ben Simmons on the table along with whatever other assets it would have taken.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
when you're competing with somebody in conference,
Yeah.
it's to acquire that player. Like, you got to realize it's about more than just your team at that point. So
Yeah.
I really think they lost hard.
yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's because they were able to flip Levert for an expiring contract,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's
and
massive.
I think that might have been the deciding factor, and also maybe the Sixers weren't willing to give away all of their picks, like the 3
Yeah,
first
whatever they
rounders
offered, it just
straight up
wasn't
and the
enough.
4 pick swaps.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, okay, so let's think about this, right? So it seems that Philly, wasn't really down to mortgage and bet on winning now with their current roster,
Right.
than going for the future, right? But let's think about it here, right? So, um, let's say you do Ben Simmons for James Harden, right? That's going to be the main deal. You line up James Harden, Danny Green, um, Tobias Harris, uh, Joel Embiid, and I don't know who else is that five. I don't know who else starts for them
And they
off the
still
top
got
of my
Seth
head.
Curry.
Oh, Seth Curry, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then your bench would probably be what, Shake Milton,
Yeah,
Korkmaz, and others,
you got like
right?
Josh Richardson.
Yeah.
Couple
No,
other
Josh
guys.
Richardson's on the Mavs.
Oh right, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wait.
I mean, that's still a pretty
Player?
competitive roster, right? So, again, look, if you're having the opportunity to pair up top 10 players in the league, you would go for it, in my honest opinion. So I I just I don't know. I guess Maury is, loves Harden. We know that. I just does Maury Do you think Maury doesn't want to gamble on possibly like messing up this whole entire window with Embiid and whatnot?
I mean, you're also giving up like your next 10 years if it doesn't work, which
Because
is
I was alluding and talking about this earlier to why the Rockets decided to choose the
Mhm.
Nets um trade package instead of
Mhm.
the Sixers. When you have the Sixers, like if they were legitimately going to give up Simmons and XYZ for Harden, why
Uh-huh.
not, just because I think because again, it's like, okay, we'll just, gamble in on a whole bunch of draft stock in hopes for that we can get a James Harden or someone like that
Mhm.
down the road. Um,
Mhm.
Instead of because that's the thing with trades and the uncertainty of it, and this goes for all sides because we don't know how Harden is going to pan out in Brooklyn, whether it's going to be, wow, Sean Marks did the greatest thing and they'll win a chip
Yeah.
or two here and there, or if it's just going to fall. Like, you have to look at it from all sides, and when you look at what the Rockets are getting, it's
Mhm.
again like 8 players who could, and one of them could be great. One of them could be a generational talent. One of them can
Yeah.
be, an all-star. But at the same time, all 8 can fizzle or not pan out or not make the team.
Mhm.
So this is risky. Like, Harden is one of the greatest shooting guards and players, in NBA history.
Mhm.
Um, but again, just the functionality and thinking of, what if this doesn't work out for Houston, and what if these picks don't pan out like the way that they're supposed to. It's something
Yeah.
to think about, because it's
Uh-huh.
like, why would you, if you can get some certainty, because again, like, you just don't know what's going to come out of the draft. The draft is a crapshoot. You just don't know what you're going to get out of it, and
Mhm.
it's just interesting that they chose that route. It really is. Like, out of every single route they could have chosen, they got this one.
And
I
okay,
just had
so
a thought in my head of
what's up?
Sam Presti and Raphael Stone doing the Spider-Man pointing meme at each other when they're both in like a middle school gym.
Man, we just traded a bunch of kids. But okay, so Don brings up the Rockets here. So let's talk about the Rockets, the haul here.
Can I
Outside,
wait? Can I
what's up?
say something first before we get into it?
All right, what's up?
Um, if there is a loser in this trade deal, it has to be the Houston Rockets fans, especially the ones that have been defending Harden for the long. I
Fair.
feel so bad for Houston and them in like because the last 6 years they have and I know this for I went to Houston a couple of years ago and I met a lot of them at a Rockets game. They are passionate. They will get to like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, we know that the Rockets are doing mathematical stuff and they only shoot threes and inside shots and this and that, but they defend it. They were like, we know that we can win with them. They know they thought that this was the guy who was going to lead them to the promised land, even with the different methodical thinking and style of play that Harden had versus all the other NBA players. And to see that go from Harden, giving his all to Houston to, I don't want to be here. I want out. I give up. I can't do it with this team. It stinks for all of those people who have went in and said, no, this is our guy. And that stings when you have a fan base that defended this guy who is now saying, I don't want to be here anymore. It's the worst.
I mean, okay, so again, I'm not trying to like defend hard in a sense. I kind of am, but like I also don't want to I kind of want to do the flip side of this, right? This isn't the first time players have wanted out. Like AD did the same thing literally last year. However, the way it was handled was different. AD was kind of more subliminal about it. Harden was pretty much straight up open about like, hey, get me the hell out of here. I've done all I can for Houston, but we can't win anything. And to be fair, he kind of is right. However, at the same time, a lot of the times that they've fallen short was also kind of on his end, right? We remember
AD didn't get to a conference finals until he paired up with LeBron. However, I know that Harden has had a bunch of teams that have fit around him and all that. He's gotten there. He's almost gotten there. That's the main difference I'm trying to get at is whereas if you look at some of these other guys, they haven't even made it to a conference finals. Whereas Harden in 1 year was 65-17 and 1 game away from beating the Warriors juggernaut.
Yeah, and they choked, and so
they
again,
did.
that was also on Harden for going over, contributing to going for 0 for 27 and underperforming the playoffs. But again, on the flip side though, and this all started post Tillman Fertitta, taking ownership.
Fertitta might be the worst owner in the NBA.
Yeah.
He's up
when
there.
Well, top 2, maybe 2. But let's be real here, and the frustrations here is, again, if you look at the roster since they went 65-17, right, it's all been cost cutting moves. They just, instead of surrounding Harden with more talent, and again, a lot of the moves have center around him. Outside of getting CP3, outside of getting Russell Westbrook, have been a bunch of veteran minimum guys that some of these guys are bona fide scrubs. Okay, like Ben McLemore is a bona fide scrub. The only solid player you would have around him would probably be like Eric Gordon,
Gus Tucker,
what about
Jeff
PJ
Green.
the Bullfrog?
But again, so those are you have 3 or 4 other solid role players, but after that, you're of a roster of 15 players, 17 players. After your best 4 or 5 players, you have literal garbage. Okay, so in his defense, I can see why he would get frustrated of not being surrounded with enough talent to win, because if you're a championship contending team, you have deep teams and deep benches.
Well,
so
the unfortunate reality is paying one player super bucks and you're paying another player close to that. You're not gonna have a deep bench. That is
the unfortunate reality. It's like when you have you're paying what, 2 dudes $80 million combined. Doesn't leave up much room for other guys.
And the Warriors got lucky.
But if you're willing to pay the tax,
this is why Fertitta is the worst owner in the NBA, bro.
Look, going back to the Nets here, Joe Tsai is he's willing to shell out money. if this was like a cost cutting owner, we would not have kept Joe Harris on the contract that he is right now. But since Josiah is willing to pay a boatload of money, clearly now when we have Kyrie, James Harden, Katie, and Joe Harris on this payroll, I mean, again, like the Houston Rockets could have done the same thing in a sense. You could pay one more player, to kind of over the tax limit, and then kind of do better job scouting and find better vet minimum players. So,
well, also not a lot of people want to play with the black hole on offense that is James Harden.
that is also true. So again, a lot of factors into it, but
I
think the Rockets are just a cursed franchise.
This is a topic that was brought up on Bill Simmons' podcast. He went on a pretty good 15-20 minute monologue about it, and he went over the history of how many disgruntled NBA players are. It just overall in basketball history, spanning I think the earliest guy was or star, right? With Wilt Chamberlain and the overall history of how that's concerned, and like over the past decade, we've seen a lot more of an uptick on stars wanting out of their certain situations
out of contracts they signed.
Right.
Yeah, player empowerment.
And this is an interesting notion. I think it brings up different conversation, and depending on who you talk to and what their take on it, I think that there is a very big line drawn between player empowerment, which again, like over the last decade, and since we've seen LeBron take his destiny into his own hands, it's been fascinating to watch. But also on the note of you as a person signed a contract saying that your services, that your talents are going to be used for specifically this team, and that you need to perform your duties to wherever you are. And at some point, I think if you're Harden or if you were some of these other guys, you just have to say like, I respect like players like Dirk Nowitzki, and even recently now with Giannis deciding to stay in Milwaukee.
Steph Curry.
Right, Steph Curry, like these guys who have not only done their diligence and duties, but also stay to keep on that role of there is one team I'm loyal to. There's one team I'm going to continue to perform for, and all the fans that make up the revenues of that franchise. And it's like at some point, like if I'm Harden, I think I would just have a lot more respect and just overall like better thought of him had he said, you know what, this team may stink. This team may not fit well around me, but I'm gonna soldier through it. I have 2 more years left on my contract, and I'm gonna say, hey, this is my team. I'm the leader. I'm going to help do whatever we can to get as far as we can and try to get a champ. But it's again, it's like I get why he's frustrated. I do, like from the bottom of my heart. Like if you are a part of a revolving door, but at the same time, like this is a guy who's been a yes man, no man. Like I want this guy playing with me and trying to get all these, some of these guys like Paul Westbrook to play with him. So again, I just think that there is a conversation due to be had with the contracts that you sign and player empowerment and where the line splits in between those two. And how much is it of a factor of you need to sort of have some sort of brand of loyalty of saying like, hey, I know that we might stink 1 or 2 years, but I'm going to eat up my ego, stick my feet on my ground, and play regardless of whoever is on my roster.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, like the thing with LeBron, who started the player empowerment stuff, credit to him, he's always waited for the agency. He's never demanded out of a contract that he's and he's done, and of course, he's been doing like the yearly contracts to keep his own flexibility open. Now, if next year Giannis does if he's like, oh, I don't want to stay here anymore, I'm not going to be like, yeah, player empowerment, go, great, good for you. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be like, you signed the Supermax to secure more money for yourself, and now you're not honoring it. Whereas you could have left, and you're putting the organization that pledged that much money to you in a bad situation.
Yeah, I can see it.
So,
Deuce, what's your take on this whole thingy?
On what specifically?
Oh, what the on what the take is like, do you? I don't know if like you talk about it in like the time I was gone, but like, do you approve of or do you like that?
Like James Harden just
Like James
forcing
Harden
his
wanting
way
out of the
out.
situation, yeah.
I mean, we're you kind of gotta contextualize it where we're in an era where superstars just pretty much hold the entire deck as to where they go, who they play with, things of that nature. So I mean, Harden's just playing ball, honestly. Like he's a symptom of something greater that's been going on for the past like decade in the NBA. So I mean, as an isolated move, I don't like it, but just given the context of everything else that has happened in the NBA, it just makes sense for him to do. So I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't hold it too hard against him.
And so okay, so last point here on the player empowerment movement. I get it. It is frustrating to see like, again, they secure more money for themselves and then they demand out. Um, at the same time, we also encourage like, players getting the bag. It's a double-edged sword. But my last point on this one would be in the sense that the for in the NBA, things happen super fast. Like championship windows, in now in recent times are very slim. If we let's go back the past decade when all of this started with the Miami Big Three, that only lasted what 3 years,
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years,
4 years,
right?
yeah.
And after that, you have the Warriors, 3 4 years, right? The Lakers, just started, maybe last a little bit longer. Who knows? Maybe this is the Nets' turn, but again, everyone's kind of noticing that windows in the NBA aren't as windows for competing for a championship aren't long, um, and that if there's an opportunity now to maximize it, a player should probably do that. There's no more dynasty like the Spurs anymore. It's not a that's gonna be unheard of.
The
Years down
Supermax,
the line,
the Supermax messed it up
Yeah,
pretty
the
much.
because
um
Yes.
I get the because that's another thing too. Like I get the notion of um yeah, if you do more, if you achieve more, that means you can get more money. And again, it's like, yeah, you want all these amazing players to get compensated and more, right? For what
Mhm.
they're doing on the and it's why we love basketball, right? Like these dudes, they're the reason why we, they're balling, they're putting the ball in the rim. It's awesome to
Mhm.
watch them, do their thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, um, yeah, there's just a tenable difference between a random role player on a team that is like it's like your perfect, like your 3 and D guy, that does everything
Yeah.
for you, that doesn't get much of the spotlight, and then like your superstar diva, who's got dominating the headlines and in all these talks. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's just really interesting to see Harden, I guess, become the latest culprit of it. But yeah, it's like, yeah, the whole Supermax um,
Yeah.
ordeal just sort of damages the um,
Okay.
yeah, just everything on this.
Yeah.
see
But
the way I would do
sorry.
the Supermax is if you want to pay a player a lot of money, fine, you can do it. But the way I would fix it is, um, the regular max is what's taken out of the cap, and the rest of it is, as they say, an exception. Like it's called the
Yeah.
Supermax exception, but it's still all put on your cap
Yeah.
anyway. So like, if the max is like 30 million and the Supermax pays 41 million, that 11 million shouldn't be on the cap. That's like the easy band-aid fix
Yeah.
to it.
Do you think they'd agree to that though?
Probably not.
I think it would be a win-win for everybody, because
Interesting.
then the bad teams get to keep their guys and get them more help.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll talk about that more in a future episode. Maybe if they start talking about the CBA. But I do want to talk about the new Rockets roster. Before we, I kind of want to cover all the teams here before we circle back and kind of get last thoughts. But the Rockets now have Victor Oladipo, who the Pacers traded to them, um, Dante Exum from the Cavs, Rodion Kurucs from the Brooklyn Nets. Um, so essentially, the starting lineup now for the Rockets is looking like John Wall, Victor Oladipo, PJ Tucker, Christian Wood, and
Kuruc low key
Cousins.
would have been
Cousins.
great for the
Cousins.
Rockets for
Yes.
the past 2 years. Had he been on there helping Harden space out the floor, that would have been
Yeah.
a perfect player to pair up with him on the perimeter.
True. God, I'm gonna miss the Air Latvia. I'm gonna miss him. But no, like again, the Rockets right now are currently, I believe, 3-6. So what do what does this mean for the Rockets to get Oladipo and kind of run him with the current roster that they have right now?
Oladipo's there because he's expired. But with that
Yeah.
being said, the rest of their team, like, it's not a bad team.
Do
I think
you
if
do you think that Oladipo would stay long term?
I don't think so. I don't
I
think
mean,
they
they have
brought
the
him down
flexibility
to
of if he balls out, they can offer him a long-term deal. And I think it depends
Uh-huh.
on it. All depends on how he
I th-
plays, honestly.
I think that Oladipo is a good reset for the Rockets.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a decent because that was the thing. Like I remember when he broke out 2017 through 18, where it looked like he was going to be like, wow, Indiana finally got a guy they can tout as he's our guy. Then the tour, and then his knee gets messed up. He's out for an extended amount of time. Then we figure out like, oh, bonus guy, and this when we signed Brogdon, like, they're pretty great. But I think it'll be good for him to get again a nice reset just for him as a player, get calibrated back, score 20 a game, and he'll be good, good two-way for both of them. He's a good shooting guard. He might not be what he was before his knee got messed up, but he's a decent fit. He fits with the Rockets. He fits with what they're doing, which isn't much. Just like try to get in a play in, and um, it's good for him. I think it's good for the overall benefit of the Rockets having Oladipo in as a shooting guard for him.
Yeah, I think the Rockets might be entering tank mode. So
Okay, so I want to bring this up really quick before I pass pass it back to you, Usman. But currently Victor Oladipo is averaging 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. And again, you said, Usman, the Rockets have a decent team. So I kind of want to see where your thoughts are on. I kind of want to have you finish your thoughts before I accidentally cut you off on that one.
that's okay.
Feel
So
free.
I mean, they're a fine team, and I think if they try, they could push it for the play-in, the 8 to 10 seed area, maybe more if now that the tumor that was James Harden is gone from that locker room. And he was, if you listen to like all their comments,
Oh yeah,
Cousins and
definitely.
Wall's comments about him.
Oh yeah, no,
They're
Harden
already,
smoked that
they're already
team.
they're already on the way out.
Right.
So
So, but the thing is, I don't know if they would be willing to pay like Oladipo, or if Cousins like works out and would presumably get offered more than the minimum next year. I don't know if
yeah.
they would do that, considering John Wall's making over 40 million a year. So
Mhm.
it all
I think
depends.
I think
on that.
Cousins will probably stay for a good while because he and John Wall have always talked about the possibility of playing with each other, right? Those Kentucky
Yeah.
He said
boys.
it. He said it to the press earlier today. Actually, it was that the main reason he came was John Wall. So
Oh, all right. There you go.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
that there's no reason for him to leave then. If this
okay.
is, I
Well, no,
think
because if he plays well, he'll command more than a minimum salary next season. I don't know if the Rockets will give him that.
True.
Tillman
Because
Fertitta is
until
the
they're
worst
Fertitta.
owner.
Okay.
Tillman,
So let's say Oladipo does stay in Houston, right? We don't know for sure, but let's say that they do. Would you And we're going to assume John Wall and Boogie Cousins are going to still be on the roster, right? Alongside Christian Wood. Long term, thinking like, what do we see here out of this Nets or not the Nets out of this Rockets roster?
You're saying that's too much. Long term,
First,
Because again, be honest, again this year they're either making the play in, like barely making the play
they're
in, or
they're
they're going to make
perennial
the
first round
lottery.
exits. I don't see legit what else they could be.
late lottery, first round exit, maybe a
Yeah.
second round exit.
Okay, I was thinking the same thing, and again, uh, with the first rounders and the swaps they have, again, it's not at the moment not looking too good, at the moment. So we'll see.
Okay, did you guys talk about the other two teams that were
We're
involved in
about
this?
to actually. I was actually going to bring it up.
Because this is the two biggest winners in this trade right here might not even be the Rockets or the Nets. That's the
Right. So,
fun part.
I want to bring up. So, my opinion, outside of the Rockets or Nets, I think the Cavs totally won their trade. They're part of the trade. Um, look, outside of Torian Prince, they got the main piece was Jared Allen, right? 22-year-old center was literally breaking out and dominating before he was sacrificed for Harden. But don't get me
Center.
wrong, I love that man, and I only wish him well in Cleveland. I'm gonna miss him a lot. Miss that. I'm gonna miss the fro.
Cleveland has
Um,
a great a great
Still wearing his
foundational
jersey.
backcourt
Still wearing
to
his
build
jersey.
off, and um,
Oh,
they
you
now
got
have
the.
they now
Is
have
that
a
it?
That's the
Is that a
Jared
Jared
Allen.
Jared
Allen
Allen
jersey.
jersey? When did you get
Yeah,
it?
Jared Allen jersey.
I got it when I went to New York a couple of years ago.
No,
No
Uh,
one
boys,
believed in him, but I believed in it. I
well, no, I
I
was
I knew
asking
from the
from
very
the.
beginning.
he was
I was
no, he was
asking.
good.
I was
That's
asking from the
awesome.
jersey insurance perspective.
No, I didn't go to the
Yeah.
American Express, but I got it because I believed him from the very beginning.
That's great. You can
Yeah,
continue to
so
root for him. I think
I'm
it's
always gonna root for that man. Um,
he's
because I'll go finish your point before.
because what I love about Jared Allen is that if they find a way to offload Drummond or get Gavin bought out or something,
Yeah.
he's gonna be he's gonna be a great piece for the future of
So
what the Cavs hold.
yeah,
He
let's
is
see.
young, he is spry, he is athletic. That dude can roll, man. Like
Yeah.
I
So
really want to see him succeed.
look, Andre Drummond's an expiring, right? So and again, I'm going to assume that they got Jared Allen to be the franchise center long term, right? This is a contract year for him. He's gonna be, I think, a restricted free agent, um, and whatnot. But let's see how he fit. Like if you see how he fits, um, you have uh, Garland and you have Sexland as your backcourt, and they're speedy guys. You can they're pretty solid at utilizing the pick and roll, right? Who is very good at playing the pick and roll? Jared Allen. Um, he's starting to develop also the ability to pass out of the pick and roll, to the corner for wide open threes. He's only 22. Um, the Cavs literally, have technically they could develop a big three of the future if it pans out with Sexland and Jared Allen. Um, Torian Prince is Torian Prince. I mean, again,
I don't know
I
what.
slandered the
No,
I
he's not.
slandered the hell out
He's
of
like
him.
the most inconsistent. I don't.
Yeah,
He's a bag of nothing. To me, he's like, oh, whatever.
he
He's getting
literally
some salary to
he
cover up.
literally boosted his trade value in the past 2 or 3 games, and now is the Cleveland Cavalier. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I gotta say on the Cavs. They really did a
Great
great
prize.
job getting great. The main prize was Allen, and the Cavs got it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just a matter of what they
definitely.
do with the Drummond. Deuce, I want to know. I want to see your thoughts on it. So I know you must be glad that Jared Allen isn't terrorizing Mitch Robinson, Mitchell Robinson anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. He owned him for sure. Um, have we talked about the Pacers at all?
That was about to be next. I just wanted to see what you
Yeah,
thought about
I
the
just want
Cavs
to
deal.
comment on that actually.
Oh, okay,
I
go
think
for it. Yeah.
that's pretty good. They got another exciting young shooting guard to replace Oladipo, who all their fans hated now at this point. So I think they came out of it as maybe not big winners, but they've got
Yeah.
something to be excited about. So it's
Man, I
good for them.
wish I wish Jonah was here to like talk about the Pacers.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love
that
to
would've
hear
been
his
good.
thoughts on Karis LeVert. 'Cause that's a promising young shooting guard. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
And yeah, he
Bucket-
was shooting
bucket.
similar to like similar numbers and splits to Oladipo.
He was, yeah. He's going to
And
be
he's under contract, so good
For
him.
cheaper.
for cheaper too, yeah.
So
once again, the
He
Pacers.
probably fits better there than he did in Brooklyn. To be real,
I agree.
Once again, the
Yeah.
Pacers
I
turn a
agree.
bag of
I
crap
completely
into something.
agree. 'Cause
I don't know
I think
how do the Pacers keep getting away with this?
they
Only
got
to just get
They got
eliminated in the
Brogdon from the
first
Bucks.
round.
They got Brogdon from the Bucks. They got Sabonis from the Paul George trade. They're doing fine, man.
They're
Yeah.
doing they do
Kevin
all this
Pritchard's
work
doing a
just to
good
get
job.
eliminated in the first round.
I mean,
Okay,
imagine.
Okay, they're a
Imagine
nice
if.
story every year. I like them. They're fine.
Imagine if you could trade front offices. Pacers would be the most coveted like
I know.
front office.
You'd rank it to be like the Pacers, Spurs, Thunder, Pelicans, Nets, Warriors, and then I don't know. We'll go from there.
I
Oh,
mean,
Heat is top front office.
Wait, why are we not talking about my Lakers?
And the Lakers too.
Oh yeah, okay.
No one
Oh,
people keep
okay,
forgetting
okay.
that Rob
Yeah,
Pelinka.
Right.
walking right into AD. Okay,
Yeah.
no,
Hey, we got other pieces too. Okay, but the thing
Yeah,
the thing with the
Lakers
Pacers.
did real great at like half-assing a rebuild and then just getting LeBron.
Hey, we got a whole bunch of other the pieces that all.
Okay,
They
so
feasted on the corpse of
Let's-
Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic in the finals.
so going back to Karis LeVert. Look, I was very critical of Karis LeVert, but I'll always cheer him on. But let's go back here. So with the splits here. So again, like I said, Oladipo averaging 25 and 4. And this is pretty much averaging, I believe, 30 minutes a game. 27 minutes a game. Sorry, yeah, so 27 minutes a game. I believe. I don't know. That's a 30 minutes, 33.3 minutes a game. Sorry, I'm looking at a basketball reference here.
BB,
Karis LeVert, Karis LeVert averaging 27 minutes a game is averaging 18, 4, and 6. So the numbers are, the averages are almost the same. Now the percentages now, and it goes Oladipo 42.1% overall from the field, LeVert 43.5. From 3-point land, it's going to be Oladipo 36.2, LeVert 34.9. Free throw percentage, LeVert 76.5, and then Oladipo is 73. Their effective field goal percentage is going to be 50.3 for Oladipo. Effective field goal percentage for LeVert is 49.0. Their PER, 19.4 for LeVert, 16.5 for Oladipo, and then their win shares almost similar, 0.8 for LeVert and 0.5 for Oladipo. So essentially, they are very similar, except that LeVert is younger and cheaper.
Yeah, the Pacers are fine. That's the thing. I still think that the top two winners in this trade are the ones that weren't directly involved with James Harden, and LeVert is a. All right, so yeah, that's how it works. LeVert is a great younger piece for the Pacers. He fits in with their timeline. He won't take away from whatever Sabonis and Miles Turner, who's having a great year, by the way. Let me just add that. And Brog, he's not going to subtract from what they're doing. And he was a really nice story, I thought, last year in the playoffs when, like, even though the Nets got swept, he tried, like, all those Nets. That's
he
what
broke out. He finally broke out.
Yeah, that's what I find. That's what I appreciated from that Nets team last year. Is that even though you have your head coach, he's out. Kyrie and KD aren't there. They still have. That's what I loved about the Nets. In the past decade, it's like they had a lot of scrappers, a lot of these guys who were cut from teams or who were not in and out. And LeVert was one of them. He was that last year in the playoffs. And now that he gets an environment where, again, he fits. He doesn't take away from anything that they're doing over there. It's gonna be great for him. I think it's going to be great for the Pacers. They won't do much in the playoffs with it, but it is a nice story and a nice team to have. You know, they're going to be fine. And good for Indiana as well.
So
Yeah,
last
that's
point on Levert. Again, 3 years. Let's say 4 years now. 3 4 years I've seen him. Again, I will always cheer for that man. Thankful for what he's done in Brooklyn. Now, the critical parts of me and a bunch of like Nets fans have always you know hounded him on is one, off ball ability. He was doing okay, solid, off ball so far this season. However, he is at best being ball dominant and running the offense, doing his own thing. Um, so my question, the question I'm now looking for in the Pacers is he willing to kind of share the ball and let Sabonis run the offense, let Brogdon run the offense, right? Um, and also at the same time, how consistent can he be, right? Again, he just started ramping it up this season before he got traded. But he's been known to either have huge lulls and like there was evidence in this first what 9 10 games that he played with Brooklyn, and I even wrote an article about it for Nets Republic. But again, his inconsistencies are very jarring. You see him break out, and then you come back, it's more of the same. And he's also very injury prone. So again, the Pacers got a great player. It's just a matter of Karis Silver continues the upward trend that he's on and stays consistent on it. That's it. So on that note, do you guys have any other like last minute last minute notes you want to take upon on this trade?
Lakers in 4.
Oh my god.
Regardless of all this, I don't care, man. Okay. I really want the Kyrie situation. Like this has nothing to do, I guess, with the trade. I just really want that situation to get handled well, without much, I guess, interfere. Because I love seeing teams on the floor, being great at what they are. And Kyrie, despite all of his annoyances, still a very fun player to watch. It's why he has, I really want to see him on the floor back and without all of the off-court troubles that have ailed him in the past month or so. Just my
Also, actually, I totally forgot to bring this up earlier when we were talking about it. But to your point on Kyrie, so apparently, uh, there's there's rumor now that he's coming back, soon, just depending on the COVID protocols, that the NBA kind of imposes on him. But Mike Breen during the Nets, the game broadcast today on ESPN, did bring up something new that it seems that Kyrie's actually coming back sooner than we think. Again, it's just a matter of COVID protocols.
Oh yeah, I mean you gotta have them for when let's play all these because now they're like must-see TV more so than they were.
That's great. That's
But,
great for the NBA. That's great for the Nets. Great for viewers. It's like it's more the more fans we can get, even if they're casual, even if they don't know what's happening on the floor, the more viewers you get tuning into these games, the better. Because we need to spread the love of basketball to as many people as we can in this world. And this trade is a win for viewership. It's a win for all the fans who just want to watch basketball.
Pretty much.
Okay, like I don't. At the end of the day, that's what matters, right? It's the
Stars
fans,
attract fans.
right? It's the fans. It's the people who watch on television that matter, and they are getting treated well. Hopefully, they will get treated. Hopefully, we will get treated well. Again, we want basketball.
All right. Here are my final thoughts. And I'm gonna give my thoughts about every team. I'm gonna give my thoughts about every team. Okay. For the Cavs, I don't care about them. They're only relevant if LeBron James is on their team. For the
Fair.
For the Pacers, they're
Sexland.
It's true though.
Hater to Sexland.
For the Pacers, they're doing the best they can given their market. Whatever, good for them. They can keep on attaining moral victories. For the
See with the straight face,
for
bro.
For the Rockets, I wish Raphael Stone the best of luck scouting 8th graders.
Oh my God.
And And for the Nets, in 2 years, Sean Marks will be known as Billy King 2.0.
Oh my god! I really
Overall,
hate you.
overall, the ultimate winner are pawns like us who now have stuff to talk about.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. I like that last
God
pick. That
damn
last
it,
pick is
we're
golden.
pawns.
I agree.
We are pawns.
So
Somebody
We are
on
pawns.
somebody
We
on
are
this
pawns.
podcast has to be the asshole, so I'll take the role for it.
we
I'll
are
take that
technically
role.
pawns. Shout out. If we are considered pawns, we technically have now made it as media members. Please give us our media passes.
With Twitch Prime.
Yeah, I have a lot of. Please give Miggy the Nets media pass. I have a lot of questions I want to ask those players through him.
Please,
I had a media pass for 1 year.
Oh, you
I
did?
got it.
Wow.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Pretty
wait,
oh,
try to get it back for us.
Try to get
that's
it back.
that's really cool, actually.
So, Deuce, I'll let you have the floor before I finish up with my my last minute homer takes and announcements as per usual.
I agree with DJT. Lakers in 4.
You're so lame. You're so lame. You're so lame.
Unironically, I do believe that
Dude.
they're a more complete team. I believe whoever comes out of the West will be a more complete team. That's all I gotta say.
You're
Lakers in
just
4.
mad.
Deuce, is
that-
every Knicks fan into like BDSM? Like you had to have known coming onto this podcast would have been a pain. Like
Why's that?
he's a mass. Is he a mass?
yeah, like you volunteered.
We didn't have to talk about this trade. There's some exciting Grizzlies news. I'm sure. We could have talked about.
Why do
other
we
stuff,
want to talk about the Grizzlies? We all know that no one here likes the Grizzlies because they're
yeah, there's like
No
3
one
Grizzlies fans.
dirty team.
Some great Pelicans game on right now.
I think Deuce is like low-key kind of like coping after his Knicks got their ass handed.
Very close game. Honestly.
We know you were down by like 20 and our bench.
Oh yeah, dominant 7-point victory by the Nets. Is that what we can come to expect? Is that the best I can do?
Oh my god!
Victory.
That's amazing.
Gosh, I'm telling you, look. All right, look. Before I give again, what podcast in the world will literally talk like this? Everyone else is too professional, and will not.
This is why Nephew Hours is the best show on planet
Nephew Hours is the best show. Pass it all around to all your friends.
Subscribe.
Here's the
Prime.
thing.
Here's the thing.
Let Usman talk. What's up?
We're never gonna expect to get any of these players on here. If it happens, great. If not, it's fine. We can shit talk however much we want.
To their faces.
That's not so fair. We're literally memeing now here. Look, we're better than ESPN. I will always ride that.
We are
better than ESPN.
I'd rather listen to us talk than Kendrick Perkins
Facts.
say Rachel like 16 times over on the jump.
Bam
Kendrick
out of the bio.
Bro, Kendrick Perkins, like his only like specialty is knowing what's good on the McDonald's dollar menu and maybe if there's like a Wendy's Burger King collab. Okay, bro. Like when the McRib was back, probably Kendrick Perkins was like, "Oh my god, I gotta go like 50 of them." Like, bro, like he probably has like the first like if there's like a new chicken sandwich, bro. Like Kendrick Perkins is the first one to know. That's the only basketball opinion I care about. Like not even basketball opinion. Like that's the only opinion I care about from him. Like,
nah, man, Bam out of the bio.
News, bro. Like that's all I care about.
Rachel, let me tell you one thing.
Like, Rachel Nichols isn't even that bad at her job. It's just like she says like the most out of pocket things in the most non out of pocket.
I'm convinced she gets on TV literally drunk. Like,
I'm not gonna look. I respect her for doing it, but like, look. See, somehow says like the most outlandish takes, but somehow makes it seem that it's not that outlandish. Somehow, some way. She finesses the system.
It's because she's got the reporter accent.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'll take it.
But, LeBron James did this today, like that kind of thing. They all talk like that. You can say whatever you want in that voice. People will take you seriously.
But, literally, I also want to shout out. My girlfriend did sub to us, so thank you. She also gifted the sub, so she might have to sub again. But thanks. Shout out to Love.
Is she a sub?
Thank you.
Yes, I mean, she might have to figure out and do it again. But support. Thank you for being such a supportive girlfriend.
Shout out.
So again, we're better than ESPN. I don't care what Kendrick Perkins has to say about it. He's probably gonna, after slandering Katie and Kyrie the whole summer, he's probably gonna start being like, "Oh my gosh, Katie and Kyrie are like teaming up with James Harden. This is the greatest thing ever. They're my former teammates, and now they're together." Even though Katie had like literally hates Kendrick Perkins now. So
I completely forgot that KD and KP were on the same Thunder team for like 3 years.
Kendrick Perkins averaged 2 points and 1 rebound. So I don't. Again, Kendrick Perkins is a bona fide scrub who got carried to the finals and literally was carried by the big three.
They kept Kendrick
what role player?
Never forget they kept Kendrick Perkins over
His
Harden.
role in the Celtics and the Thunder was to eat the team snacks that they didn't want. At team dinner, Kendrick Perkins was probably like, "Hey, yo, do you want that leftover or not?"
Never forget the Thunder kept Perkins over Harden.
That is true.
Yes. That's the unfortunate part about. Hey, Harden could still have been a Thunder. Like, yeah, that to me is crazy. Like, we could have been, like, avoided all of this if like the Thunder didn't trade Harden for like literal empty bags of chips. Okay.
You know that show that ESPN does with like they did it with Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas, and they did it with like Kobe and Shaq. God rest his soul. I can't wait for that show with like Harden, Durant, and Westbrook, because now we've seen every single combination of those three, or we will in a couple of days. That is gonna be must-see TV.
You know what? The only thing we're missing is, though, before you close it out, the only thing we're gonna be missing from the Nets is them trading Kyrie for Westbrook and a first-round pick from Washington, and then DeAndre Jordan and like 2 other players for Serge Ibaka. All right, then we have the 2011, 2012 Thunder back, just like that.
Yeah, we get them 10 years older, fatter, more injuries, more mileage. And LeBron James will still be there to meet them in the finals.
Pretty much. History never changes.
So
again, last takes for me, since I was memeing the whole past minute or so. Cavs, again, take care of Jared Allen. He's going to be your franchise center. Pacers, take care of Karis LeVert. He's going to be probably your franchise shooting guard alongside Sabonis and Brogdon. For the Rockets, again, surprised they even did this trade, but again, they kind of have flexibility in the sense they can either see what they have in Oladipo and try to win with him, or they also have a boatload of picks that may or may not pan out alongside of it. Now with the Nets, again, I am super happy. I said this at the top of the broadcast that I literally heard the news at work, so it was hard for me to try to contain emotion at work, so I don't look weird in front of a bunch of old people that I have to take care of as a healthcare worker. But seriously, again, I'm excited to see what happens. The Nets have a 2-year window to do this. We have 3 open roster spots to fill out with buyouts and whatever moves Sean Marks has planned. But again, I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for the journey.
I just had this visual in my head of like Miggy in his scrubs. Some doctor is like telling a patient an update about their like, I don't know,
funny
swollen pancreas, and Miggy's just on the side, smart, grinning ear to ear.
So I literally take care of patients because like I work in a PT rehab clinic. I'm literally helping them exercise. I feel like you fucking picture me like I'm spotting a patient. I suddenly like let go of it. Well, I celebrate James Harden getting onto the Nets. But but I was running front desk and I was like trying to contain it as I was staring at my phone the whole time. But yeah. So again, so with that, then that kind of wraps up the emergency podcast of Nephew Hours. Quick announcements again. We'll be streaming as often as we're free. It's a new year, new episodes. It's a lot more year of content. Bigger things to come. I know I teased an episode, but we got a little merch coming in. be announced soon. So stay tuned. But with that, I know it's late for everybody.
Not for
You know,
me. It's like 8:30 here.
Midnight.
it is. Yeah, shout out West Coast, Best Coast. I, for one, I am hungry for some dinner that I will go eat. Celebratory that we got James Harden and also beat the Knicks. The Nets are the kings of New York. It's time. But again, to all our supporters and fans, thank you again for tuning in. Subscribe to us using Twitch Prime or going out of pocket. Appreciate everything you guys do for us in your support. And again, we got continue to follow us on Instagram, Twitter. If you got we don't barely use, but Instagram and YouTube. Follow us there. And again, merch coming soon. We'll make the announcement, um, the official announcement soon. And you know what? You guys have a great night, everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Usman, Deuce, and Dom for joining me tonight.
Thanks
It's
for
been
having
fun always talking to you guys.
Always is.
Love
Amen.
it.
You know.
And again, shout out to our producer Bull, who somehow did not take out that new Nets fan tag for some reason. Hayden always. But again, but I love talking basketball with you guys. I love working with you
Yeah.
guys. You guys have a great evening. We'll talk more in a bit. All right, you guys have a good one. Peace out, everybody. Good night.